It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. It's time now for another interview segment here on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. And our interviews are presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Well, a lot of school districts have been passing plans for the reopening for the next school year under the coronavirus concerns that have been put about, and of course under state regulations that have been handed down from the Department of Health, the Department of Education, and other organizations. And we're going to talk and focus on the Homer Center District, as last night they approved a plan that will actually open the building up for the summer months, and they will take a look at a further plan to open for the rest of the 2020-2021 school year next month. Joining me on the phone right now is the principal and assistant principals, Jody, Rainey, and Matt Rodkey. Matt is also serving as their pandemic coordinator. And gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us in. Yes.
All right, so let's start off with the plan that was approved last night. Last night's plan was a program to get everything open for the summer programs like Evergreen After School Club, some of the other non-athletic programs, I would assume, because the athletic plan has already been put in place, right?
That's correct, Josh. We have, we already have our athletic plan in place, and that plan has been implemented, by our coaches and during our voluntary workouts for the summer months. Last night, the plan is primarily would serve the Evergreen After Schools Club. And they were hoping to get started a little bit earlier. And so that plan will address that need to get that program in the school and in the building, and, outlines, the guidelines that we need to follow. And then I do think that then the third part of that, as you mentioned, was the reopening plan. I just want to be clear. Homer Center has every intention on being open for school August 25th for students. In both buildings. But we also realize that the guidance, when PD put out the original guidance, they talked about preliminary guidance. We knew as more data was available, more information was learned, the guidance would be ever changing. And so, last night was just the representation of, we want to make sure that, when we get the plan, it is as current as it possibly can be. And we do want to make sure we add some details and make sure that we eliminate any confusion that we may provide within that plan for people. So we just decided we were going to take some more time to reflect on any new guidance that we expect to get either today or early next week. And, so just take our time and make sure that we solicit the input of different stakeholders.
Matt, I wanted to ask, how tough has it been trying to put together a plan? As you just heard Jody say, there are new things coming in just about on a daily basis, it seems, whenever it comes to new guidance or new rules that need to be put into place, whether it's from one organization or another.
Right. It has been challenging. And, honestly, we expect new guidance to come out either today or early next week. So it's just one of those things where our pandemic team, we keep good track of everything that's coming out, and we then go ahead and adapt the plans that we continue to work on. And as Jody said, this is a living, breathing document. We are very happy that we're able to now have the after school club, the Evergreen Club, in the buildings and everything now. And, our coaches and our athletes, they've done a nice job over the last few weeks, bringing their masks, doing all the screenings, and following our athletic plan to a T. And that's the leadership that we need from our our coaches and everyone, and certainly our student athletes as well. We believe that everybody will follow suit. And you know what? We just want to make sure, as Jody said, that everybody in the community understands that we do want to come back 100%, August 25th, and we are going to continue to work on this plan. So as the updates come in, we'll be updating that plan, and, our number one priority is the health and safety of our students and staff.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like one of those situations, it sounds like, where you hope for the best, but you plan for the worst as well, because you have to be ready for any sort of situation. We don't know if we're going to be seeing another a violent spike like we're seeing in some of the surrounding counties, like in Westmoreland. They're seeing double-digit increases every day. But you have to be prepared for it nonetheless, and these plans have to show the steps that have to be taken for those plans, for those instances, I should say.
Yeah, I agree, Josh, and I think that, one thing that I'm happy about from March, when we closed March 13th, we got the notice we were closed effective March 16th. At that time, it seemed like most things coming out was more of a one-size-fits-all approach, and I think that the guidance we do receive allows for some flexibility, but when it allows for flexibility, then it allows for sometimes maybe some discourse. I mean, obviously, we all know that this is a very politically charged issue. And so I think that at the end of the day as Matt mentioned, regardless of our viewpoints as, private citizens, we have an obligation to make sure that we follow the guidance that we're given. And we also need to make sure that everything that we do, first and foremost, always puts the health of students and staff ahead of everything else. And so, we will work on a plan, and we're smart enough to realize that, there'll be people who think our plan is great and they're excited about it. Other people will think our plan is ridiculous, and we know that, and we accept that. I mean, that's the glory of living in a country like we live in, that we can hold those opinions. But we do have other alternatives if someone is not comfortable with our plan and the way we're going to operate and function in our school day. Then we do have, the Homer Center Academy of Choice, which Matt is the lead administrator for, and he'll talk about that, I'm sure, here in a few minutes. And also, we're working hard to figure if we can provide synchronous learning opportunities where they can remote into our classrooms in real time once we start back to instruction. So, we fully respect, our community and our parents. I believe we have the trust of them, and I do believe that they believe that we're doing the best we can to provide for the health and safety of their children. And our staff, I think, has confidence in us to do the same. But I also know that we will not have 100% agreement, and we need to put our personal feelings aside, and we need to do what's right to get our kids back into the classrooms, because that is desperately needed.
That is the goal.
Yeah, and we need to do it as safely as we can.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and talk about that cyber alternative, Matt. So talking about it, I imagine it would be a similar plan as to what we saw put in place during the first shutdown of the schools, that kids would be able to have access to iPads or Chromebooks or similar type of devices in order to get that education that they need.
Yeah, that's correct, Josh. We were able to hand out a bunch of Chromebooks from March 13th until the end of the school year there, and that is a plan as well coming up. As Jody talked about, there's a possibility of synchronous learning, which would be, the same time frame as when they would have their traditional class during the school day, depending on which phase we're in. There could be, if you have biology at 9 a.m., you could have that a couple days in school and a couple days at home from, virtually.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the synchronous option, but we also have what is called our Homer Center Academy of Choice, and that is our program that is what we call our in-house cyber program. It's a collaborative with the Seneca Valley School District, and we use the platform called Edgenuity. And that is one where our kids can log on to whatever their class is at whatever time they need to. So they don't have to worry about if 9 o'clock is when biology is. They can take their biology class at whatever time they feel is best.
Mm-hmm.
And I know from speaking with parents and students over that time frame here at the end of the school year, that when we have parents that are working from home and kids in more than one student, in the house trying to work at the same time, bandwidth can be an issue. So having that, what's called asynchronous learning, which I just mentioned about taking your biology class whenever you'd like to, that certainly helps with parents who have to work, students that are, working at different time frames. So I guess the message is, there are going to be parents that are, maybe a little uncertain, a little uncomfortable, depending on how things go as far as the spike and so forth, as you mentioned. So if they are uncomfortable with sending their child back traditionally, then we have that cyber option, the Homer Center Academy of Choice. And I would just say you can reach out to me, and I will let everyone know whatever information that they need. It is on our school website. If they hover over schools, Homer Center Academy of Choice is an option, and there are a few videos on there and some curricula. So, again, that's certainly another option. And as Jody said, we don't all have to agree on everything, but I think everyone does agree that we want the best possible opportunity for our kids to have success. And I know that's what the parents want, and Jody and I certainly want that as well.
We're talking with Matt Rodkey and Jody Rainey of the Homer Center School District about the reopening plans here on Indiana in the Morning on WCCS. And as we've mentioned in our news cycle, Homer Center School Board last night passing a plan to reopen for summer educational programs like the Evergreen After School Club, and a full reopening plan is expected to be voted on at their next meeting in August. Matt and Jody, I'll open it up to the both of you. Just kind of talk about the team that you've had in place. We have a couple of minutes left, but let's talk about the team that has been working on these plans, the athletic, the summer plan, and now the upcoming full reopening plan. These people probably administrators, school board members, and probably other members of the community as well, right?
Yeah. Before we do that, Josh, I do want to add one thing to the cyber school that Matt was speaking of just a few minutes ago.
Go ahead.
Is because it is our cyber school, those students are still Homer Center students.
Oh, okay.
And if a student would come through our cyber school and complete their education that way, they are graduates of Homer Center High School. They get a Homer Center High School diploma. And so I do think that's important because to mention, just for the simple fact that unlike, say, if you would go to a different cyber school, I'll say like PA Cyber or something of that nature, if you finish your education through one of those, then you would receive a 21st century or a PA Cyber diploma. If somebody would complete their education through our cyber school, they are a student of Homer Center and do receive a Homer Center diploma.
Mm-hmm. That is very important, definitely. Let's talk about that team now.
Yeah, I can speak to athletics because I obviously have a heavy part in that because of a lot of different hats that I wear, but also as a principal, ultimately I am responsible for our athletic programs. So that was a cooperative effort among myself. Matt had a good hand in that. So did Rob Stossel, our athletic director. We did solicit. We kind of put together a baseline plan and sent it out to our head coaches, especially our fall head coaches. So we did solicit some feedback from, Hope Fies, our volleyball coach, Greg Page, and different people like that. And then I did have some conversation with some of the booster groups, just a few people from those. So it was that was the athletic plan. And, so because what we realized was, football is a different animal than volleyball. It's a different animal than cheerleading. So we realized that our plan had to have a little bit of flexibility to gather up and mention those groups. Even trying to work a band and stuff like that, which is a challenge because, different types of instruments, you have spit valves and things like that you have to contend with. And so we, just like every other plan, that one will continually evolve as we, proceed through the summer and into the school year. The pandemic one, I'll let Matt talk about that one a little bit since he's the chair for that.
Yeah, Matt, talk about your team.
Sure. Our pandemic team is comprised of Mr. Kurt Weitzel, who is our superintendent, myself, Jody as obviously the high school principal, but he's also our safety coordinator for the school district, Danny Sacco, who is a safety and security consultant and just has a plethora of knowledge about safety in general, and just has had a lifetime dealing with those sorts of things, and he's just been a great asset to our team. Mrs. Bethany Genscher, who is our Director of Special Education and also wears the hat of Elementary Assistant Principal. Ed Sutter, who is our Director of Maintenance. Holly Rouget, who is our new Elementary Principal. Mrs. Lisa Golick, she is our school nurse. And we've also spoken with some parents who are not technically on our team and some board members who are not technically named on the team, but their input is very helpful for us. And we plan on continuing to update this plan as guidance comes in, and certainly take all of the stakeholders who have that interest and have all the knowledge that we need in order to just make school as safe as we can for our kids.
Gentlemen, we're right up at the mark, but we want to say thank you again for joining us, especially on short notice this morning here on Indiana in the Morning, to talk about something very important, and we'll await the release of the full plan. I know that summer plan will probably come up on the district website within the day or so, but I do want to say that we await the full plan coming up in the meeting in August. Again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Josh.
Thanks again. You guys be safe. Thanks again to Matt Rodkey and Jody Rainey of Homer Center School District for joining us this morning on Indiana in the Morning.
When Dad slipped and fell and needed rehab, we chose Scenery Hill.
Scenery Hill Healthcare and Rehabilitation, Indiana County's premier nursing and rehab facility for decades, can get you back to doing the things you love, offering short and long-term skilled nursing, as well as physical, occupational, and speech therapy. Beautiful Scenery Hill is